Welcome, everyone, to the Dr. Blue Duck podcast. And in 2021, 8-Bit Christmas came out starring Neil Patrick Harris. It was a movie that showed the seasonal struggle of a boy wanting the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, for Christmas in the 1980s. And I kind of relate to that because I myself was a little boy in the 80s. But I can really relate to this story because I was a little bit more of an older boy in the early 90s, and I wanted nothing more for Christmas than the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super NES. I used to lay out all my Nintendo Power magazines all over the living room floor and just daydream about playing the Super NES. And it was a future world of adventure and challenge that my little young mind was just so eager to dive into. But when I would ask my parents if I could get the Super Nintendo for Christmas, they would respond, "Well, I don't know, maybe it's expensive, we'll see." Now, my parents had always went above and beyond for Christmas, but our family had moved from a smaller home, actually a smaller mobile home, to an actual nice, bigger house in a pretty good and new neighborhood in town. So I wasn't really for sure if I would be getting the prized gift that I really wanted that Christmas. That desire for that new console sat on the edge of my mind. And I specifically remember standing outside on the sidewalk at my grandparents' house one crispy, cold evening, looking up and just looking at the stars and just hoping that I would get the Super NES for Christmas. The curiosity overtook me one evening when my parents left me alone for a few minutes to go to my grandparents' house, which was really just down the streets. Now, this was nothing like the actual 8-Bit Christmas movie, but it was a big deal for me. You see, I knew where my parents were hiding Christmas gifts. They always hid them up on the top of their closet in some type of bag, typically the bag that it came in. And I was always told that if I ever were to peek and see my Christmas gifts, that my parents would actually just send them back. So I was kind of nervous about seeing my Christmas gifts before Christmas, but I was determined to know. I wanted to rest easily for the rest of the season. So as soon as I saw my parents leaving the house and driving that family minivan down the street, I rushed to my parents' closet, pulled out a chair from the kitchen, and climbed up to the stash of Christmas gifts on the top of the shelf over the hanging clothes. And I didn't want to move anything because I knew my parents would know. So I pushed the white transparent bag against a rectangular box and I saw the word Nintendo and I knew I got it. I hurried down and put the chair away back in the kitchen, back to normal life. But that's when doubt set in. Now, kids don't think like adults do. Remember that, dads. Our kids don't always think logically. I wasn't thinking logically then, and I started to question myself. Did I really get the Super Nintendo for Christmas? I mean, what if my parents bought the Super Nintendo to give away to another family or to donate it to some charity? All these thoughts of worry started to set into my mind. So let's fast forward to Christmas Eve. That's when my immediate family came over to open gifts so we could go visit my other family on Christmas Day. My grandparents came over and we all had this nice big Christmas Eve meal together. I mean, really, it was probably like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that, but it was really amazing to a young kid. It was a fancy dinner back then. So we left the formal living room to go into the regular living room. We all sat around the Christmas tree and opened up gifts. And not only did I get the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, I also got the Super Scope, which was like Super Nintendo's gun accessory. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else remembers. If you guys were alive in that time and know what I'm talking about with the Super Scope, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And I even got a few games as well. So I was super eager to play them on the new console that I waited so long for. But when I asked my parents if I could plug in the console, or when I asked them for help plugging in the console to the back of the TV, they just said, just wait a minute. So then I asked them again, and they said they were busy just talking with each other. So I went to the table, I grabbed some more snacks. They were grabbing snacks, they were drinking tea and soda and water, and we were just all kind of hanging out. So then I went and I asked again, and they said I needed to pick up all the wrapping paper on the ground and put it in some trash bags. So I went, I picked up all the wrapping paper, I put it in some trash bags. Then I asked them again, getting a little bit more frustrated, they said, now I need to take out all those bags of trash out to the trash can outside. At this point, I was frustrated. I mean, yeah, first world problems, I know, but I was frustrated. Despite getting way more than I even asked for, I was annoyed as a little selfish kid. I was annoyed because I wanted to play my Super Nintendo that I waited so long for. So with a poor attitude that a lot of young kids have, I grabbed all the bags of trash and opened the front door, and there stood a red bicycle right in the way. And I yelled out, "Some dumb neighbor left their bike in front of our door." And I looked behind me and I noticed that my entire family was standing behind me with excited smiles. I looked back to the bicycle and I noticed it was actually brand new with tags on it. They had not only got me a Super Nintendo with the gun and some games, they had also got me a new bike as well. I couldn't believe it. Earlier that season, my parents set me down. They asked me what I wanted more, a Super Nintendo or a new bike to ride to school. Since I had outgrown my other bike, so I kind of needed a larger bike. But what I really wanted was a Super Nintendo. I needed a bike, but I wanted the Super Nintendo. I feel like that's still an issue that gaming dads have today. But my parents got me both. And that was probably one of my most memorable Christmases ever. And not so much just because I got a Super Nintendo, but because of all the people who were there in my life at that time. And some of those people aren't here today. So that's my 16-bit Christmas story for you. Kind of like the 8-bit Christmas story, but way less exciting. And I don't have that Super Nintendo any longer. I don't have that bike, but I do have those memories, and I'm going to hold on to those forever. Now that I have 2 kids of my own, I try to make their Christmases just as special, as I'm sure you gaming dads do as well. Gaming is never the end. It's the means to the ends. The experiences and the connections that us gaming dads create through gaming, those are what's important, not the actual consoles or the video games. You see, some dads out there are gamers, but we on this channel, we are gaming dads. So let's always use our gaming as a means to create memories with our kids, to have great experiences, positive experiences with all sorts of fun, making special memories that our kids will be telling other people when we're gone. Well, that's it. So be kind, use your mind, and game on.